I recently turned 21, and that means that I'm now a full blown adult. I am officially transitioning from being just a teenager into being an adult, and it's a very confusing time, I'd say, because a lot of things change. So I wanted to make like a quick mini series talking about becoming an adult and some of the things that you're going to have to learn when you are becoming that adult. One of the first lessons that I've learned is that when you become an adult, you don't have to remain a product of your environment. You finally have the chance to be a product of your choices. From the moment we're born, we're always influenced in some way or the other, whether that's through parental values, whether that's through parenting, whether that's through family, whether that's through friends, school, and every single person, everything that you meet until the point where you're 21 or when you're becoming an adult. It's influenced because we're treated like children because we don't really have the capacity to start making our own decisions. At least that's what we think. Therefore, we don't have full blown autonomy over our own lives. That's not particularly a bad thing, actually, because, well, you get to dodge a lot of hardships in your own life because you'll always have somebody telling you what to do. You'll always have a teacher telling you what to do. You'll always have somebody around you to tell you what you need to do, and you kind of just blindly do it like a drone. If something wrong happens in that process, then you get to blame somebody else and you get to dodge full accountability. Adulthood doesn't work that way. When you're an adult, you have two choices. You can continue to be a product of your environment, or you can choose to rebuild entirely. And you can keep rebuilding as much as you want, by the way, through adulthood. But you can choose to rebuild completely into a person that becomes a product of their own choices. Now, the reason why this is so important is because most of us aren't blessed with wonderful environments growing up. The average person has to deal with a fuck ton of trauma before they become an adult. That could be from your parents neglecting you, that could be attachment issues, that could be financial issues, that could be poverty, that could be a lack of food, a lack of care, a lack of love, bullying. There's so many fucking things that can go wrong when you're a child and you're growing up. And by the time we're 18 or by the time we're 21, it's very difficult to distinguish how much of your life is influenced purely by your environment or your experiences, and how much of it is the person that you wanted to become, or the person that you would like to become, or the person you feel proud of becoming. It's very difficult to make that, like, to draw like a line between what differentiates you from the stuff you've learned through your own environment and what you want to become. That puts you in a very terrible spot. That's actually like a very terrible spot to start, like, becoming an adult. Ideally, you'd want to have everything be stable. Ideally, you'd want to have the freedom to be able to try a lot of different things without the fear and anxiety of, oh, what if it fucking fails, or I wish I always had somebody to tell me what to do. And I've been on a journey of improving myself for so long. Even mentally, I've been focused on growing for so long. I've been journaling now for about 5 years. I'd say I've got like 6 to 7 journals under my name, all talking about my experiences and my learnings and everything like that. And here I was, still being 20 years old, hoping, praying that there was somebody that would tell me what would be the right choice. Because when we're kids, we have very linear ways of thinking. We either think something's right or something's wrong. But when you grow older, that's not really the case. It's much different, and you always wish that you could have somebody that would tell you what you need to do, to tell you what decision to take, to tell you what would be good for you. But that only comes through hindsight. And when you're making decisions in the present, you don't have the luxury of hindsight. You don't have the luxury of knowing what's good for you and what's not. Sometimes there is no good or bad. Sometimes there's regret no matter what decision you take. Sometimes no matter what you do, it'll end up working out for you. It'll be like a win win. You never know. You never know. But the point is that when we're kids and we are products of our own environment, we get the chance to dodge accountability. We don't blame ourselves for mistakes we make. We, especially as we grow older, we tend to start blaming everybody around us for our own fuck ups. We fucked up because somebody guided us in the wrong fucking way. We get angry because we followed somebody else's decisions and not ours. But we relish in the fact that we're not really scolding ourselves in this point because, well, we're not really taking any accountability. And most people continue to live like that throughout their lives, believe it or not. Like they don't graduate into adulthood. There is no graduation ceremony like there is for school where you graduate into officially becoming an adult. Most people don't realize that they are products of their environment, and most people don't even want to change that. There's a very low degree of self awareness amongst most people. So if you're watching this, congrats, because, well, you've got interested in looking into something that you felt like you had an intuition about, and hearing it from me reaffirms that. But when you want to build a life, when you want to be an exceptional person, when you want to be different, when you quite frankly are going to be a weirdo to normal society because, well, you don't want to live like them, when you want to feel different, you are going to have to become a product of your own choices. And that means taking full accountability for decisions that you take. When you're an adult, you don't need 100 different people reaffirming your own decision. You don't. You personally don't. In fact, I'd suggest against it because that divides accountability, and dividing accountability breaches growth. You grow through making mistakes. We think that children are supposed to be given a lot more leeway when they're making mistakes. No, ideally, when you're an adult, you should be given even more leeway because now you have nobody looking out for you. You're all on your own. You've got to figure life all by yourself. And that means that, right or wrong, whether you pass or fail in life, it's all dependent on you. That feels so burdensome to so many people that they choose to continue to live like products of their environment. There's a reason why a lot of kids turn out exactly how their parents are. If the parent is generally an alcoholic, then growing up, usually a lot of kids end up turning towards alcohol unless it scars them so deeply that they run away from it, which is also a bigger issue because they've been scarred much harder. But for the most part, when things are normalized by your parents and normalized in your environment, you tend to do the same thing in adulthood. If you notice yourself, you do a lot of things that your parents do, or you do a lot of things that your childhood friends do because they've influenced you to such a large degree that it's hard for you to differentiate between what you are and how much of your personality is theirs. When you're an adult, you don't have any of that. Whatever you choose is what becomes of your life, and most people don't even know that fact. They believe that they got that they just had bad luck and they were given a bad deck of cards in life, and that there's nothing they could do about it because, well, things are out of my control. Sorry, why would I take any sort of accountability? Why would I want to do anything to change that life? Why would I do anything? I don't know if there's another path. Sorry to say, but there is. There is, but it's much harder, which is why most people don't fucking take it. I've tried continuing to be a product of my own environment, to be a product of an environment which instills limiting beliefs in you. Just institutionally, you're given a bunch of limiting beliefs that you'll have to dissolve when you grow older, that you won't even realize fucking exist, but they're fucking blocks to your progress, and and they're just there. They're invisible barriers that are stopping you from growing. And when you try to live like a product of your environment, when you try to live like that, a lot of people are going to sit there and think, yeah, you know what? Why not live like this? My life was like this. I grew up like this. But if you have a little bit of self awareness, and if you feel like you're unhappy and dissatisfied with where you are at life right now, then you have the full potential to change it. I just want you to know that you have that option. That option exists. You get to change your entire environment. You get to change your entire fucking life if you want to, as long as you take full accountability for the decisions that you take. So that is step one of embracing adulthood, especially when you're trying to be an exceptional individual, especially when you're trying to be a master of something, especially when you're trying to live a life that is worth living, not a regular fucking life. And there's nothing wrong with regular lives, frankly. A lot of people tend to be very happy with them. A lot of people tend to be happy with working a 9 to 5 job. A lot of people tend to be happy with living with a family, having a mortgage, having kids, working your ass off to provide for the kids. And there's a level of satisfaction to that. There 100% is. 100%. If you're watching this video and you are anything like me, I know that you've thought about trying that kind of life and seeing how that goes. And you feel like such an oddity, such a fucking weirdo for not liking the life that society has established for you, or your environment, or generations of your family line has established for you. You don't like that life. You don't feel fulfilled in it. You feel like a fucking zombie walking through that life. Well, in that case, if you want to avoid hardship of dealing with a life where things feel very normal and you don't feel like it's a life worth living, you're going to have to become fully accountable. You're going to have to become a product of your own choices. So from tomorrow, when you wake up and you fuck up somewhere, tell yourself that it's your fault. Tell yourself that it was your choices that led you to that point. And also tell yourself that it's okay because you get to make more choices that'll pull you out of that spot as well. I wish more people lived like this, but usually, unfortunately, that most people end up becoming products in their own environment, and it's I'm not going to sit here and demean them either, because it's you have to have empathy for a lot of people for what they deal with. So many people don't even get to experience autonomy to a degree where they sit and talk to themselves to try and understand what the fuck they're dealing with, because life has just chucked so much shit at them growing up that they think life is miserable, and that's all they know. They don't understand how life can ever be happy for people like them, because life has fucked them up so early. And I genuinely feel a high degree of empathy for that. And I wish I could help people that are in those states. And perhaps you are, if you're watching this, in a state like that, where you feel miserable about your own life, where you don't really like what you're doing, because so many people are dissatisfied. Everybody is dissatisfied, but they won't tell you that they are. Everyone wants to pretend like they're fucking happy, and I'm calling bullshit on that. It's not true. The way current society is fucking working right now, nobody's happy. Nobody ends up being happy. They're just there because they're surviving. They need a method to survive, and that's kind of it. And it's much easier to be a product of your environment. So if you're watching this video and you think like me, and you feel like this touched a nerve, or you feel like this is triggered like a thought process within you, then I want you to explore that. I want you to become a person that's a product of your own choices. Take the accountability, take the risk. But if it works out, you also get to take the reward. And if it doesn't, you learn and you move to the next quest in life. That's it. That doesn't mean that you get stressed out by everything in your life either. But all that means is knowing that you can control what you can control, and you don't have to worry about anything else. Think about that for a second. You are fully responsible for everything that happens in your life moving forward as soon as you become an adult, because not a single person is there to guide your hand through it. So live with that fact. Live knowing that. Be a product of your own choices. If you don't like your life, if you don't like your environment, if you don't like things, change it. I implore you to change it. worst thing you can do is lead this entire life and on your deathbed feel dissatisfied. I don't want to live like that. If you watch so far, I don't think you do either. That's it.